So Haley, thank you for coming into today's session. Today I want to start with a conflict that you have going on with whatever is occurring. We'll have about 20 minutes to talk today. You are welcome to get started whenever you are ready.
Okay. A conflict that I currently have going on in my life is my job. I am a teacher. I teach second grade. This is my 7th year teaching, and this is by far the hardest year, even harder than last year, that I've had while teaching.
What is making this year so hard? How can I help you?
This year last year we have a new on-site principal. The principal before that was someone who has been in the community and that I teach in. And she had been a principal at our site, I believe, for 5 years, maybe 4, 5, 6. I'm not exactly sure. But so when I came on, it was already a pretty well-established relationship between community members and the principal. So we have a new principal who teaches from not in our community. She's from, I teach in a rural Title I school with a lot of poverty and unfortunately like drug addiction. And she is from a more affluent area that probably doesn't have those same issues there. So I think she has a difficult time understanding our parents and our students and maybe some of their lifestyles and kind of where they're coming from maybe. But another conflict that I have is since she's new, I think she's trying to build relationships with the families and parents, I guess. And it seems like she doesn't really support us as teachers, which can be really difficult because especially where I teach, it's nice to feel, I don't want to say protected, but like somebody has your back, somebody will help you. I can't think of the exact word that I need right now, but that somebody will be there for you.
Okay. And how can the next 20 minutes be useful to you?
I would maybe like you to help me either maybe to kind of help her point of view a little bit more, or maybe give me some strategies maybe on how to help myself when I get discouraged or feeling like this school year is just so difficult. So maybe some things that I could do within myself to not put as much stress on myself.
Okay. I think that's a really good goal to work towards. So in terms of that, what are you wanting to understand from her point of view?
Well, maybe why she doesn't support her teachers, but I don't know if I could feel that, but maybe just a little bit more of where she's coming from, coming to a new school. I'm sure it's difficult for her as well. But maybe a way, how can I word this? How could I help her maybe help me a little bit more?
Yeah, I think a really good strength that you already have is that you are already realizing that there is a disconnect between the two of you and that you are wanting to understand her point of view because you understand that she's coming from somewhere different. So I think by having that kind of mindset already there, that you're already showing one of your strengths by understanding there might be something more going on in this situation. You mentioned that you weren't feeling supported as a teacher by her. What are some of the things that she's doing that make you feel like you're not supported?
So if a parent comes in with a concern, she seems, in my experience, to just kind of immediately take the parent's side and doesn't really give a realistic understanding of maybe the teacher or where the teacher was coming from. And also I feel like more and more keeps being put on my plate when it's already so challenging to teach right now after students were online for the majority of last year. So a lot of students, and like I said, I teach second grade. So the students that I have this year have never been in a classroom for a full year. So they don't, they just are having a really difficult time even just understanding routines and, you know, kind of school expectations. And it just seems that this is going on. And then we have, you know, all these new assessments and new strategies and different things that they want us to just keep implementing more and more and more, when kind of we need, I think, to get back to the basics of, at least for the little ones that I teach, just because they need some basic help.
Okay. So from what I'm understanding is that when something happens with a student, your principal is instantly kind of taking the student's side and not hearing the teacher's side. So it feels like, okay. So
if there's a parent that comes in with a complaint, you know, which would normally stem from the child maybe complaining about something or going home and telling their parents, she kind of just seems to side with the parent and not back up or support her teachers, which doesn't make me feel supported at all.
Okay. That's understandable. And then also what you had brought up as well was that you are feeling overwhelmed because there's a lot on your plate, because while you're, you know, with your students being out for a year doing distance learning, and especially second grade, that's still very new to our school systems and what they look like, that they haven't had that environment. So they might not know what it means to sit in your desk for 45 minutes during a language arts lesson, or, you know, something along those lines. So while you want to focus on kind of those structures, you're being told, hey, let's implement this new teaching method, or let's do this new key, or something along those lines.
Right. Yes. Correct.
That does sound very frustrating, and I can understand those factors there. Do you feel that you have support from your other coworkers, your other teachers in the school?
I do, yes. They also have voiced their same concerns, that they feel similar to me. That this, you know, some of them have been teaching for 20 years, and they are saying that this year is just so difficult because of all these compounding things together. And they also do not really feel supported as educators or professionals right now either.
Okay. So what is kind of the solution that you're looking for? I know that you mentioned that you were trying to understand her point of view. Is there more of a solution that you're wanting along those lines?
Well, ideally, I would like to feel supported in my job, because, you know, I have a lot of students, so that's a lot of parents, there's a lot of stakeholders, community members involved, and it would be nice to know that I was supported from my principal. So I guess, I mean, that would be like an overall goal. I don't really know how realistic that is, because that doesn't really seem to be the way that she principles, the way that she works.
Okay. I'm understanding here. So just to clarify, you're not feeling supported by your overall boss, but you're feeling supported by your coworkers.
Yeah.
So knowing a school system and knowing that your boss has a boss, have you reached out to either your union or your superintendent or other principals in the community to kind of understand the principal perspective on things?
I have not. I have talked to my union, and I do feel supported with my union, or my union president. So I do feel supported in that way, that I know, like, if, you know, legal actions were to happen, nothing has escalated by any means that way, but I would feel supported from my union. They do support us, so that's really comforting to know that that's there. You know, it's kind of a difficult situation because she is really nice, and I'm kind of like an empath, so I always, as I was trying to say, try to see another person's point of view, and I don't like want her to be fired necessarily, because I also understand that this is her job and her career, and she's maybe doing the best that she can. And I'm sure that, and I know actually for a fact, because she's kind of mentioned it before, that she has a lot of pressure coming down from her, from our superintendent as well. And since she's new to our district, she feels kind of, uneasy and kind of is walking on eggshells because she doesn't want to kind of push anything either. So it's not really just, I think a lot of those new strategies and things that that we're being asked to implement are coming from her higher ups as well. And she doesn't, since she is new, doesn't really want to rock the boat or say no or not do something that she's being told, even though, then her teachers are then the ones that are feeling all that pressure. So I haven't talked to my superintendent gone above that, because I also feel that some of that is coming from them. And, maybe that's not even necessarily her fault.
Mm-hmm.
Although it would be nice if she can maybe tell the superintendent kindly or rationally, kind of, well, do you know what the teachers are having to deal with right now? This is kind of a lot. Can we just settle on maybe one new strategy this year while we're just all getting back into the routine of being at school?
Yeah, I think that's understandable. So another strength that I heard is that you have reached out to your union rep and other teachers in your community. So you have created a support system on the lower level, in terms of you're not quite getting the support that you need from your principal, but you have support from your coworkers and your union rep as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some type of support there, which I think is essential in this situation, because it sounds like a very overwhelming situation in terms of everything that you do currently have on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think focusing on those support systems is what you really need. In terms of getting your principal to support you more, I think that's an interesting situation to reflect upon, because I do think that you have recognized, she's new to our district. She's worked in a very different environment than what our site and our school has here. She feels pressure coming from her, boss, and everything's kind of trickling down. So I think the way that you recognize that is important in this situation as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, maybe over time and the longer that she works there, she might understand the environment a little bit more and hopefully realize, the parents and the students might not always be right, and that you do need to have your teachers back, and they do need to feel supported in the environment that they are in. Do you feel that you would be willing to stay in this environment until that might get some clarity? Or do you feel that that might not be the best situation for you?
I currently don't feel that that would be the best situation for me, because I do feel like it could take a while for her to maybe gain confidence or feel, maybe feel supported from her own boss, which would be the superintendent, or, maybe feel like she doesn't have to walk on eggshells. I don't really know how long that could take. So I don't, for my own mental health, really think that that is something that I can do, is continue to work in this situation. I mean, of course, I'll finish out the school year. There's 3 months left, but I currently have been looking at maybe other positions at different districts, because, as I said, for my own mental health, it's just a lot, and it's really difficult for me. Just kind of the emotional toll that I've been feeling with everything. So I'm kind of started opening my eyes and looking around at different things and talking to some different friends that are teachers, and kind of how, I just want to make sure that, if I do find something, it will be a better fit for me. So kind of getting other people's perspective on things and how they feel supported and how they feel things are going.
I think that's really important. Calvin, no. Sorry about that. You had identified your mental health and how you don't feel that this is an environment that you could be in that could support you. And I think that was a very important thing to recognize, because you do need to do what's best for you in this type of environment. And if that's not it, and you do have other opportunities to find other employment, I think it's worth seeking out and just seeing what else is out there. And once again, you've created more of a support system for yourself by reaching out to other friends that are teachers that might not be in your same district, but can shed light on the situation and offer advice there as well. So I think that was a really good thing to seek out. On a scale of 1 to 10, how, I figure out how I want to form this question. How do you feel that you will be able to make it through the last 3 months of this school year?
Sorry, as 10 being that I will make it through?
And 1 being, I need to leave now.
Okay. I would say probably an 8 or a 9. I mean, nothing is definite, so I don't want to say, 10, I'm not leaving absolutely no matter what. But I feel really strongly about finishing my commitments and, finishing the school year for my students. That's something that's just really important to me. So as the way things are going now, I will absolutely, without a doubt, finish the year. If something very drastic changes, which would have to be something I can't really even think of, a scenario where I wouldn't be able to finish. Maybe if I felt unsafe, I guess, but that's not, how I feel right now. But if I felt unsafe or if my mental health, I guess, drastically decreased as well, then I maybe wouldn't. But if things stay as they are now, although it's challenging and difficult and overwhelming, I will finish the school year.
Okay. I think it was really good to identify that. So I think we are closing on our session here today. So to conclude and wrap things up, you did identify having a lot on your plate. You have focused on reaching out to other support systems, and I think those support systems will be really important to you for the next 3 months in order to make it through the end of this school year. I also think while you have so much going on, you are still focusing on your students. And that's the main reason, why you went into teaching, why you have chosen this career path. And so I think, focusing on your students for the next 3 months, having those support systems, and recognizing that you rated yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, an 8 or a 9, that you will be able to make it through this school year. That it's 3 months. If you need it, we can create more weekly meetings if you would like to, in order to get through that time and just kind of check in, or however best I can support you. I think in terms of like homework or recommendation that I have for you today would be to keep focusing on your support system. And maybe if you're feeling that, it would be helpful of maybe even starting to just journal some things and maybe putting down the situation and then doing like a pros and cons list of like, okay, well, while this was a really bad situation that occurred, say with a student, and the student goes to the principal and the principal takes the students back, that, you write that situation down and go, okay, here's the pros, here's the cons, maybe here's what I could have done differently, or maybe I could have forefronted this situation and knew that it was coming and already presented an email to my boss with documentation of the situation that occurred, or something along those lines. Okay. I know that you have a lot on your plate already with work, but do you feel that this is something that you could work towards for our next session?
I do. I really like journaling and just getting my thoughts out, whether I'm saying them or writing them down. So I do think that could be helpful and therapeutic for me to do, just even kind of to decompress at the end of the day. I think that is something I could definitely do and implement in my daily life.
Okay, sounds great. I am looking forward to our next session next week. If anything does come up before then, that you are welcome to reach out to me, and I can try and schedule a virtual meeting and check in as soon as possible. But until then, I will check in with you next week.
Thank you. Sounds great.
You're welcome.
Bye.